as ordinary till you see the core side of it.
And what you're looking for is the story behind the news.
We bring it to you from Lagos, the commercial capital of Nigeria.
Giving you all sides and political stories round the clock.
Every detail from the start line to the final whistle.
CoreTV News, expanding your view.
Hello there, welcome to CoreTV News on the hour. I am Gift Ogete. 3 days after a fighter jet on an operation against Boko Haram disappeared in the northeast, Nigeria Air Force authorities have ruled out sabotage. Chief of Air Staff Air Marshal Adeshola Amosun dropped this hint to journalists on the sidelines of a meeting with President Goodluck Jonathan in Abuja. He, however, said the military has a fair idea of the whereabouts of the jet that went missing during an operation against Boko Haram insurgents.
One of our Alpha jets went on a routine operational mission in the northeast. On the return, they lost contact with the control tower. That made us to immediately initiate the search. The weather is not being helpful. The citizens are very helpful. We're getting some good information. But you know, in the aviation, we have specific information that we ought to have to make the search easy. But the information we're getting from the citizens, good, but not sufficient, good enough for us to pinpoint the area of, define the area of search. But we have an idea of where the aircraft could be. Don't forget, it's the open Sahel. It looks, some people may think it's easy, but in the open Sahel, sometimes it's even very challenging. A human being standing may look like a tree. And again, the area we're talking about is we have operations going on there. You have limitations as to how low you can go to conduct the search. But we have the platforms. But I'm hopeful that before the end of the day, before the end of the week, we should be able to provide positive information as to the location and then the pilots. But one thing is clear, that whatever problem they had, an ejection was contemplated. It is my hope that the pilots are still alive.
But sir, do you suspect any sabotage or foul?
Sabotage, no, because it's a distance of just from Maiduguri to Jola. We're in full control of the airspace. But don't forget, when you lose radio signal, becomes challenging. There are so many possibilities, but we're working on it.
Thank you very much.
Security experts have called on the federal government to empower the military with attack helicopters to win the war against terrorism, noting that the security forces need complete air power to defeat Boko Haram insurgents. They observed that the missing NAV 466 Alpha jet might have been shot down by insurgents, adding that investigators should probe the circumstances surrounding the disappearance of the aircraft. The security consultant, Ben Ukezie, says it is unfortunate that the military will lose the aircraft at this point in time, noting that the security forces are not combating local insurgents but international terrorists who have the backing of some foreign countries. Ukezie noted that Boko Haram had sworn to attack and take over Maiduguri by October 1st, stressing that the group would do anything to achieve their objectives, including bringing down military aircraft. He advised military authorities to recall retired military personnel, pointing out that the United States did so during the Iraq War. A sit-in protest was held at the Nelson Mandela Freedom Park in Osogbo, the Osun State capital, to mark the 5 months in captivity of the abducted Chibok girls. The sit-in protest was tagged "Break the Silence." Organizers say the government is handling the matter with kid gloves.
If the federal government handlers didn't have children, at least people that surround them have children, and Chibok girls, they are all our girls. We are laying our voice, we are breaking the silence from the state of Osun to tell the whole world that today marked the 5th month that the Chibok girls have been kidnapped.
We should not be concerned about elections, we should not be concerned about anything, we should be concerned about this country. The house of Nigeria is on fire, the northern part of Nigeria is on fire. These girls are in captivity 153 days today, and the nation, if we cannot fight for the most vulnerable people in our nation, then who are we as a nation?
I want the federal government to take notice that we are aware of the disappearance and unknown place where our sisters are, and I want the federal government to release them alive and now.
A Nollywood actress, Foluke Daramola Salako, has called for all hands to be on deck to ensure that the abducted Chibok girls are rescued. The actress, who spoke to CoreTV News in an interview, says she will continue to work with other activists to ensure that the issue remains on the front burner until the girls are rescued.
For an American, a citizen is worth billions. It's even unquantifiable. So at the end of the day, we find a situation in this country that I feel that the value of life to us means almost nothing. We see people die, we see people in pain, and we don't do anything to it. We feel like it's like a normal thing for us. Our threshold for pain is just becoming one that I would say it's becoming unbecoming.
No fewer than 20 people are reported to have been killed and many others injured in renewed communal clash in Tunari village, Wukari local government area of Taraba State. The incident started when some gunmen suspected to be Fulani herdsmen invaded the village from the neighboring Plateau State. President of the Youth of Vision, Wukari, told journalists that the attackers struck at about 10 a.m. on Sunday when several residents of the village were in charge. Expressed regret that the attackers, said to have numbered over 300, targeted only Jukon Christians, prompting a lot of them to relocate to other areas. Another eyewitness say he narrowly escaped the attack, expressed sadness at the lukewarm attitude of the security operatives, whom he accused of coming to the aid of the victims after the attackers had succeeded in perpetrating their evil act. Confirming the attack, the police public relations officer Joseph Kwaji said there was an attack, but it's unable to confirm the number of casualties, as the authentic figure were yet to be made available to the command. West Africa's Chief of Defense Staff have pledged military support for the battle against the Ebola virus disease in the region. This is one of the 5 recommendations they came up with at their just concluded meeting in Accra, Ghana. The Defense Chief said they are prepared to contribute to regional efforts to combat the disease. Collaborating on this at the closing ceremony, Ghana's Chief of Defense Staff, Vice Admiral Matthew Kwashe, explained that the military is ever ready and always the first to respond to any emergency. On the security situation in northeastern Nigeria, the defense chiefs called for enhanced intelligence sharing among member states. They also made a case for more counter-insurgency training. Ghana's Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs, Kwesi, says Boko Haram has to be stopped, adding that Africa cannot afford an unstable Nigeria. The Rivers State government says it is yet to receive any monetary assistance from the federal government on the outbreak of Ebola virus disease. Rivers State's Commissioner for Health, Samson Parker, raised the alarm during an interview with journalists in Abuja. Parker says the state government had received a budget of 1 billion naira from Emergency Operation Committee to fight Ebola in the state. He warned Nigerians not to celebrate yet until the Ebola disease is sorted out in Liberia and Sierra Leone. A public affairs analyst, Kayode Salako, has called on all Nigerians to trust the judgment of the federal government as regards the reopening of schools shut during the Ebola outbreak. Salako, who was a guest on our flagship program Core Digest, says the issue of the prevention of the spread of the Ebola virus does not only affect schools, but all sectors.
Those of us in the private sector, private education sector, we are very, very conscious of that. We are conscious of that, and we're putting everything in place to make sure that these children come back to school and they are safe within our school premises. But our problem is with the government schools. Some of these government schools don't have some of these facilities, and I'm aware that the government has been putting them in place.
He added that what should be concerned right now is to ensure that schools are provided with facilities to make them safe.
But what we, the private school owners, are saying is that the government has convinced us enough that it is now safe for children to go back to school. So why keeping children at home to be useless when the federal government has said it is confused, it is convinced?
No,
the Lagos State government has said it is convinced that it is now safe for children to go back to school. So that is the area we are looking at it.
It's CoreTV News on the hour. We'll take this very short break. Stay with us.
There is an Ebola virus epidemic in some West African countries. The Nigerian government wants you to be aware and watch out against the spread of Ebola in your community. Help keep our country safe and watch out for severe cases of fever, headaches, diarrhea, chest and abdominal pain, sore throat, cough, red eyes and bleeding from the eyes, ears and nose, especially when these symptoms are found in persons coming into Nigeria from other West African countries. Protect yourself. Wash your hands regularly with soap and running water or use a hand sanitizer. Avoid contact with the blood, urine, feces or saliva of animals like bats, monkeys, gorillas, chimpanzees or infected persons. The Ebola virus is deadly. Don't catch it. Don't spread it. This message is brought to you by the Federal Ministry of Information.
The Osun State Election Petition Tribunal has received reply of the All Progressives Congress to the petition filed by the candidate of a court party, Niyi Owolade, asking the tribunal to nullify the victory of Ralph Aragbeshola. Counsel to the All Progressives Congress, Segun Adegoke, filed in a reply to the petition.
Well, we are here today to file our reply, our defense, to the petition filed by the Accord Party candidate, Mr. Niyi Owolade. He filed the petition a number of days ago, something of about 17 pages. He only served us day before yesterday. We immediately entered appearance day before yesterday once we got a copy of the petition. And today we have filed our reply to the petition. While he front-loaded a list containing 14 witnesses to prove that the election in all the 30 local governments of the states, that the election was rigged, we are front-loaded nothing less than 30 witnesses. The election was free and fair.
Counsel to APC, the APC through its counsel accused the court party and its candidate of acting the script of some people, especially in its earlier petition that led to the removal of the former chairman of the tribunal, Justice I.M. Bako.
He was used because PDP did not want to write the petition against the former chairman of the tribunal, Justice I.M. Bako. They didn't want the man because the man is incorruptible. So they wrote a petition through a court party, Mr. Niyi Owolade, to the president of the Court of Appeal. And surprisingly, the chairman of the tribunal was removed. And that is the essence of the complaint of our own clients.
Outgoing national chairman of the Labour Party, Dan Nwayawu, has spoken out for the first time on why the party has never considered collaborating with Nigeria's largest opposition party, the All Progressives Congress. The Labour Party chairman also spoke on his regrets as he prepares to vacate the office he occupied for almost 11 years.
He's been in office for almost 11 years, and now it's time to leave. Dan Nwayawu has been the face of Labour Party since former Labour leader Adams Oshiomhole headhunted him in 2003. But in the next few weeks, a new man will occupy the seat. He tells CoreTV about some of the things he will never forget.
I was on my own on a private business practicing law. doing very well in Chief Rotimi Williams' chambers as an associate practitioner, and also doing other things. When he met me in Port Harcourt at the Presidential Hotel on a breakfast table, I said, Dan, come, are you here or there? Which party? I said, I'm not in any party. He said, no, come, we have a party. You can do it. God brought you here. I said, do you people have money? He said, no, Dan, you know you can fix it. Everything's not about money. You know how Adam stops. I returned here. He kept following me until finally we agreed. So you can see the contradiction in all that we have done. But I have also, I'm sure if you ask him, he will tell you I have not disappointed him. I have put in my best because before I take any assignment, I make sure that I'm prepared for it.
Nwayawo was a trade unionist before Labour Party and now describes himself as a professional in politics. The former banker insists that he's not on salary but admits that there is a lot of temptation in politics. He cites an example of how he was offered a large sum of money to betray Ondo State Governor Olusegun Mimiko.
There is heavy temptation in this office, monetarily, in all currencies. I don't know what I'm saying. I said that much to NEC yesterday. In this office, somebody offered 500 million naira for me to truncate Mimiko's case in the tribunal in 2006, 2007. I mean 2007, 2008, until 2009. 500 million. I had him on tape. In this last election, the same thing happened. I was asked to mention my price.
The man who was the face of Labour Party in the last 10 years says he will be leaving with only one major regret.
Regrets? Maybe because we have not been able to achieve electronic voting. And it is deliberate that both INEC and the National Assembly has consistently and persistently refused or neglected to let it be. That is the only way we can move on and Nigeria can develop. India, with over 600 million voters, use the electronic voting system. Nobody goes to tribunal because you need not to go and queue. You can be in your bedroom at that time, you vote. It is there. No ballot box, no ballot paper, no talk, no assignment for miscreants.
And now that he is on his way out of office, the Labour Party chairman says he is still not sure of what to do next. He says he's keeping his options open, but reveals that one of them is a return to the law practice.
The proposed plan by the federal government to ban the sales and consumption of hides and skins, popularly known as Burma, is generating reactions from Nigerians. Our correspondent Rashid took a look at Burma as a delicacy and a source of income to many people. The report.
Burma, a delicacy made from hides and skins of cows, has become a household name in Nigeria. Though it cannot be ascertained how and when it became a recipe, its consumption, which cuts across all social strata, has led to the creation of an industry. From its production processes, distribution, and retailer in the market, Momo is no doubt a multi-million naira industry.
Looking at the production process of this delicacy popularly known as Momo, it is evident that it is a full-fledged business on its own. And as it is, it has become a generational occupation where it's been handed over from mothers to daughters.
When our husbands peeled the hides, we burn them and make it to pomo. We started from Okebode before we expanded and came to this place. If we are counting now, I have been on this business for over 30 years and it's now being handled by my child.
I met my mother doing it. We were born into it, and it's over 15 years now that I have been doing this, and I have recorded much success.
As Nigerians wake up to the proposed ban on sales and consumption, What comes to the mind is the economic implications of the proposal on the people. But just as the questions continue to mount on what informs the ban, this nutritionist gives a verdict on momo as a source of nutrient in food.
We have different kinds of momo. You have the white, you have the brown. But even as it may be, both are low in nutritional content, so they are of little or no benefit. Burning has its own side effects, and so you find that all these things may predispose to cancer. But momo may be recommended, I won't use the word prescribed, may be recommended because it doesn't have any, it's of low nutritional content.
Opinions, though, differ on what the ban means due to its consumption across all social strata, but the consensus is that it amounts to nothing but a big joke and misplacement of priority to ban its consumption.
I think I'm not really love pomo. If it's meat now, I'll complain. Provided pomo is not, I don't really like pomo like that, so I don't have problems.
Who is in Nigeria who doesn't eat pomo? Tell me. But they can ban the consumption. They have to talk to Nigerians first. To talk to Nigerians first. This is like a staple food for Nigerians. Pomo aba. Who will ban pomo for Nigeria? No way.
While the views of consumers may differ, those whose livelihood revolves around its sales and consumption are not taking the threats to their daily bread lightly.
It's not good. If they ban this mama, it's not okay at all. Because you know that in Nigeria, there's many people with poverty. Poverty is reigning in Nigeria. No substitution for so many people, so they don't need to buy this mama. As a seller, it will affect us.
If the federal government acts true to its intention of banning the consumption and sales of pomo, it's no doubt going to be a tug of war between the federal government and Nigerians. And as the clock ticks, Nigerians and the world over are anxiously waiting to see where this will end. Rashid, CoreTV News, Oshobo.
It's CoreTV News on the hour. We'll take this very short break. Stay with us.
From the capital markets, we bring information on stock market reports, talk about GDP and economic growth, showcase entrepreneurs and startups, bring on financial experts to analyze and share the views on financial issues affecting the economy. On Business Weekly, we bring business to you.
The United Nations says it will take whatever steps are necessary to keep safe after a video showing the killing of a hostage, David Hannes, was issued by Islamic State militants. David Cameron says the UK will hunt down the killers of the aid worker whom he called a British hero. Cameron added that the menace of Islamic State militants had to be destroyed in a calm but deliberate way. In the video, SS also threatened to kill a second Briton who has been named aid worker Alan Henning. Mr. Hannes was seized in Syria in 2013. A video of his death came shortly after his family appealed to his captors to make contact with them. Increase in the rate of gun violence is at an all-time high across the world. Africa is witnessing high rate of illegal arms movements used by criminals to perpetrate evil and now terrorism. What can Africa learn from America's Ian Johnson's gun buyback strategy? This report seeks to evaluate the effectiveness of the gun-by-gun policy. A report.
When Ian Johnstone was just 10 years old, his father was shot dead by a teenager during a robbery. The tragedy inspired him to dedicate his work to curbing gun violence and start a non-profit organization called Gun by Gun.
This is like a new market-based approach to addressing gun violence locally that doesn't involve any of the debates over the Second Amendment or gun rights that have stopped any sort of progress happening.
After several mass killings, like the one in Newtown, Connecticut, Johnstone was frustrated that U.S. Congress failed to pass new gun control legislation. Gun by Gun is a simple concept. It uses crowdfunding to raise money to buy guns off the street.
It's a very powerful statement when somebody makes a donation to a gun by gun campaign, because they're opening their wallets and saying, I want fewer guns around me, and they're not getting anything in return. That's all they want. And so it's consumer demand. It's a market-based approach to dealing with the problem of gun violence.
The money raised over the internet fund guns buyback events held by local police. At these events, people bring in their guns and receive money in return that is donated by the community. Just $200 can take a military assault rifle off the street. Most gun buybacks are funded by cash-strapped police departments, so help from an organization like Gun by Gun is welcome. And while buybacks are only one part of the solution to preventing gun violence, police say they are crucial.
If we're taking over 700 guns off the street via gun buyback in the last 18 months, that's 700 guns that can't fall into the hands of the wrong person and used against somebody else.
Critics argue that programs like Gun by Gun might be well-intentioned, but only offer a limited solution to the epidemic of gun violence in the United States. Without new legislation, buybacks are only a drop in the bucket. But despite the challenges, Johnstone plans to expand his scheme across the country, with hopes that Gun by Gun can make an impact one weapon at a time.
It's CoreTV News for this hour. Thank you for watching. Join us again. I am Gift Ogete.